Empowering epic champions with the new duplicate system. Why can't we do it? What's the reasoning behind it? Do you agree with the reasoning behind it? Does it already conflict with things in the game? That's what we are going to talk about today. I'm sure many players could benefit a substantial amount, like huge amount, from empowering not just legendaries, because that's more of a whale, high spender part of the game. I'm sure many players already realize this by now. But if they added this for epic champions, this would definitely reach out and branch out to a lot more players. Now, one of the things that I don't really agree with is the reasoning behind there not being empowerment for epics. Thinking it's too excessive and keeping legendaries stronger than all of the other champions. Now, if you're playing this game, we all know that simply is not true. There are epic champions that are fantastic in this game, and there are legendaries who are, and I mean, I know Cirilla did say there are no bad champions, however, and I am a firm believer that there are certain accounts that can make use of every single legendary in this game, but it has to be very specific to the account. So I do agree in the sense where you can make use out of every single legendary, but there are definitely bad legendaries, hands down, kind of really hard to argue about that. And there are epics in the game at the moment that are outperforming, overperforming, and much better than a lot of these legendaries. So the fact of the matter is they don't want empowering epics because that can make an epic champion stronger than a legendary champion, which conflicts with the idea that someone can +4 legendary and have it be weaker than a +4 epic champion based on who we have in the game. What are some examples? Some perfect examples would be someone like a Madame Ceres, highly used champion. Everyone knows how good Madame Ceres is. Even someone that no one really talks about, Spider here, defense down, weaken once fully booked. This value would go up a ton because he really lacks with base statistics here. But if you were able to empower him, that would go up a lot and he would be much more useful overall. Even Spider alone going onto a champion that I personally love and I talked about in a previous video, which is going to be Magnar. He would be such a strong nuke champion in all of Arena. He already is very strong, but if you could +4 this champion, that would be incredible for this game. Now, this is why I'm not really on board with the whole we don't want to empower epics, because it would make legendaries not as useful. I do understand it a little bit from the company's side of view, where I do kind of try to see where they're coming from, because in a way it would make people not have to invest in legendaries, which as we all know is very expensive. Between legendary books, masteries, of course those are the same for both, but potions, it does require more potions to ascend champions, so they would technically be losing out on a little bit more money. But in my mind, I think people would actually spend more money on shards if you could empower epics overall. And maybe it would be time to have them consider toning down the empowerment system a little bit, or making it so it's X value for legendaries and a little bit lesser Y value for epic champions to let us empower these epics as well here. Then again, storage comes into space. We already don't really have enough room, or I know at least a lot of players have been complaining that they don't have enough champion space, and it is very expensive to buy as it is. So that is another concern worth discussing and going over as well. But as far as +4 empowering epic champions, I really wouldn't mind this idea, and the fact that I don't really like their mindset behind why it's not a thing is because this champion exists. We all know her. She is broken beyond belief. You can say she's balanced all you want. I've said it 1,000 times. The fact that she hasn't been nerfed is mind-blowing. I don't think they should necessarily nerf the amount of damage, but I do think they should cap the amount of damage so endgame players can't do 1,000,000 damage to an entire wave. I think that's a bit overkill. So if they did nerf this, it wouldn't affect 90% of the players, but the 10% who are using her to do insane amount of damage with crazy capping the buffs to 10 buffs. I think that is something they would need to consider here. But the fact that there isn't that restriction on this champion Seer is what makes her so much better than many legendaries. So the fact that they don't want +4 because they want epics to stay epic and legendaries to stay legendaries, I just can't really get on board. Let me know what you guys think. Do you also agree with that? I mean, it's really hard to argue with Seer right in front of you, seeing how powerful she is against pretty much all content. She's in speed farming teams. If you get the champion Seer, you will go through the roof as far as progression goes. If you have her, you understand this. If you don't have her, maybe you have an idea on what she can do for your account, but she is game changing in every way, shape, and form of the saying game changing. So that's my thought on epic empowerments, why they aren't in the game. I think they should be added to the game. I do think they would have to do some research to make sure that there's a proper checks and balances system if they do add empowerment to epics. One of the first reasons, kind of like I just touched on, they really need to address the champion storage issue. In my mind, any champion that's in the faction guardian, I don't know, consider this a separate frame of storage. I think that's the smartest way to go about this. Just consider this as additional bag slots that we all got for free. We should get some benefit to having duplicates. So remove this from, I mean, don't make it inaccessible. We should be able to use these champions. I don't want to have a 6-star fully ascended mastered Anai here, Lugan here, 2 Baron here and not be able to use them because they are in the faction guardians. I think this is something that they should have, I don't know, in my mind it was common sense to add something like this to the game. They elected not to add it to the game, which is why we do have players saying, I am maxed out on my storage here. I'm at 300, 300, 390 out of 400. I don't have room for food. I think that's a huge issue that does in fact need to be addressed, and would have to be addressed before considering any possibility of being able to empower something like epic champions. Now, moving on to epic champions, should this also apply to rares? I don't really see the need to be able to empower rares. Yes, it would be nice quality of life, but I do think there should be a line drawn between rarity, between how accessible things are. I think, in my opinion, it would be going a bit too far if we did start empowering rares. I think it would take away from epics. I think it would make the game's progression a lot easier, a lot more free to play, losing the company a lot of money, and it probably wouldn't be in their best interest, even though players would have a massive benefit from it, especially if they are just starting out. So that's kind of where I stand as far as epics go. What I want to know from you guys is, first, your thoughts overall about this whole empowering epics. Do you think there is a possible way Plarium can implement this into the game without having major effects on the company side? You don't have to talk about the player side. It would be a benefit no matter how you look at it as far as epics go, but the company side, I'm pretty sure it would hurt them a little bit if they don't approach this carefully, if they ever would consider this as an idea. And secondly, which champion would you love to empower first? I can think of 10 off the top of my head that I would love to have, that I use consistently in all types of content, that would be really great if I could +4 them. Yes, it would make, like I said, even whales, it would kind of reward whaling even more than it already does, but the odds are a little bit more realistic for epic champions, and you would see an incredible amount of +4 champions if this was expanded to that epic pool already. I can tell you off the top of my head, Stagnite would be a champion I would be interested in. Madame Ceres, as I already talked about. A champion who I think is kind of slept on, I did mention Spider, but Sylar, very strong champion. Someone like a Seeker, Gorgorob, Vogoth. I mean, there are so many great epics in this game. I don't think anyone watching this or anyone who even thought about this concept would lack in champions. They would say, wow, this would be really good if we could empower this champion. Even now, looking at Vrask, thinking about Dreadhorn, Bommel, which is coming up in this next Doomtar rotation, how much easier would people have with the boss tuned the way Dreadhorn Bommel is tuned, even though we are getting a slight nerf due to some of the difficulties if you were able to empower some of these champions. So I do think this would be a really good step in the right direction. While I do agree they made a mistake with the pricing of this life token system, I don't think it would be the best idea to add this to epics as well. I think epics are rather valuable as a food source of 4-star chickens. Unless you have tons of those, then if anything, they should just make it so you cannot unbind epics, just lower the price of these. 4,000 for Sir Nicholas. Sure, there are players willing to kind of life token a bunch of champions. I did see something really funny. I don't know if it was on Reddit or Facebook, but someone was like, "Thank you for this new simple champion," referring to the simple sponsorship where we get Alexander. I did just go over him in a video, and they said, "I can't wait to use him as 500 life tokens." And I'm assuming that was a joke because duplicate system means you need a duplicate and you cannot get two of him. So you would have to have two to disenchant it for a life token. It was weird because I saw like 30 people thumbs up the comment wherever it was, which kind of made me think for a second. There's no way people are that. I'm gonna be nice, I'm not gonna say the word, but you guys all know what I'm thinking right now. So that's my video, pretty much talking about epic empowerment, what you guys thought about it. Who would you instantly empower right now if you had the choice and you were able to empower an epic champion? How much would it help the majority of players? How could this be introduced into the game without costing plarium too much money, without kind of demoralizing spenders in this game, to keep them engaged spending money? Because of course this game would not be possible without people spending money. As much as we would all love to play games like this for free, it's just not the reality of it. Alright guys, that's going to conclude my video today. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you all in my next upload.